on the airwaves of Anisha Radio 104.9 FM right now. And yes, this is Your Business Matters with Pallavi Ahluwalia from Ahluwalia Law Offices. And yes, do want you all to know if you have any question related to employment and family-based immigration, family law, corporate law, and civil matters, then now is the time to call her. Well, you know what? I think we just got disconnected with Pallavi. What I'm going to do is try and reconnect with her. She is doing her show remotely today. So as we try to bring her back on the airwaves of Fun Asia Radio, get set with a number in the studio, which is 972-235-5555. For your patience, we do have Pallavi Ahluwalia from Ahluwalia Law Offices back on the airwaves of Anisha Radio 104.9 FM. The number in the studio, 972-235-5555. And if you want to get in touch with Pallavi beyond the show, the number to call would be 972-361-0606. Yes, you do have to take an appointment to have that private consultation, and ahluwalialaw.com is the website to go and find out more about them. Pallavi, you are live on the airwaves of Anisha Radio 104.9 FM. A very good morning to you.
A wonderful morning to you, Mithu. Wanted to wish everybody a happy Wednesday, as well as let's say a happy Vaisakhi and Vishu. And I think we have a lot of celebrations across all of the states of India for April 13th. And I wanted to wish all the people that celebrate April 13th as a special day. Wanted to just bring that to their attention. And me too would be happy to start taking the calls live on the air. A quick update that I wanted to provide prior to starting out was that a random selection that happened in the H-1B lottery has already been announced, and the government has announced that they've received 236,000 applications, and that's about 3,000 from last year. That they have, and we have already started to receive notices, especially under the premium process service. So this is something for all the people that have used the H-1B that you should now start receiving your receipts soon. Hopefully you did make it through the lottery.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And all the Vaisakhi wishes going back to you, Pallavi. Thought would quickly share that as well. Thank you so much, Pallavi, for coming on the airwaves and going straight with the questions here now. Going to our first caller, Fun Asia Radio 104.9 FM. You are live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Hi, Mithu. Hi, Pallavi. My name is Mayanka. And my question to Pallavi is, my passport is expiring next year, which is like March 2017, and my visa is due on extension for in April 2017. After my recent visit to India, I received the I-94, which is expiring as the same date as my passport is expiring. So, like, what is the best course of action I should do in order to get the current I-94, like the accurate I-94 date?
Validity, right? The validity period of your current 797 to be reflected on the I-94. For this purpose, you will have to first extend your passport, and then you can step out to a contiguous territory, and or you can step out anywhere. If you actually have a visa that's longer than the validity of your passport, you can even go abroad anywhere. Does not have to be contiguous. And when you re-enter the country is when CBP will acknowledge that and give you the end date of your visa validity.
Okay, so first I need to extend my passport, and then if I step out of the country, I will get a I-94, which is like similar to the expiry of my I-797, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pallavi. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your call. Going on to our next caller, 972-235-5555. Number in the studio to talk to Pallavi right now. Panisha Radio,
Hello?
you're live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
यस मैम, आई हैव वन क्वेश्चन. ओबामा का जो ये केस चल रहा था, जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने किया है, जो जिनके बच्चे सिटीजन हैं, उनके पेरेंट्स के लिए जो होना था, वो कब तक उम्मीद है कि होगा या नहीं होगा? कुछ इस बारे में मालूम हो तो बता दें.
यस, वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. क्योंकि वो केस अभी भी सुप्रीम कोर्ट में है और there is a lot of discussion involving the fact that Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, who passed away a few months back, is passing away. How that would impact the decision of the Supreme Court. So इस time पे decision नहीं आया है, but आप जरूर सुनते रहे अपडेट्स और हम अनाउंस करेंगे अगर वो डाका और डापा की एक्सपेंशन को लेके decision is favors either the DACA DAPA applicants, or it favors the Department of Justice, or it favors Texas and the 26 states that are involved in that lawsuit. So we will bring you an update here once the Supreme Court has an announcement.
इलेक्शन जो हो रहे हैं प्रेसिडेंट के लिए, इससे पहले पता चल जाएगा या ये इसके बाद पता चलेगा कुछ इससे?
हाँ जी, they're supposed to be deciding this in May or June.
अच्छा, ये डिसाइडिंग कंफर्म हो जाएगा मई और जून में?
Right.
होना या नहीं होना?
Right, exactly.
चांसेस है होने के?
नहीं, I mean there are several different arguments to and against the expansion. It is within the purview of the executive branch, which is the Department of Justice, जिन्होंने ये expansion of DACA और DAPA announce किया था. ये उनकी this is within their area of discretion to expand that rule. But the states that are complaining, which is one of them is Texas, they're saying that they're going to have an increased cost for issuing driver's licenses, and so they've kind of been able to give a financial number to the cost of expanding it. So we have to see how the Supreme Court measures against the cost and the impact of that cost to the state versus the power that the executive branch has, which is to expand immigration law. So we'll have to just see that and see how that goes. But yes, we hope that it does expand.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. All the best.
And thank you for your call. Going to our next caller, 972-235-5555. Number in the studio. This is Your Business Matters with Pallavi Ahluwalia from Ahluwalia Law Offices. Going to our next caller, Panisha Radio. You are live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Ma'am, I'm U.S. citizen and I got a OCI card also. If I go to India, how long I can stay over there? And is it necessary to go after every 180 days and report to the embassy?
Okay, so here is, you said you're a U.S. citizen. You can live abroad for about 5 years if you're a naturalized citizen with your OCI card, but after 5 years you will have to return back to the country. So now where it is a requirement to go register with the consulate, I think every consulate or every country has their own rules as to how they call the citizens to come and just make sure that everything is okay, or that they are fine and they have those statistics intact. So at this point, all I can say is that you are given 5 years to go out, but you have to return within those 5 years to be able to keep up your citizenship.
But am I supposed to go after every 6 months to the embassy and report there?
Yeah, well, that will depend on what the embassy's requirements are. We can check that for you. Don't have that handy right now. But the embassy every country's embassy can require you to report within the 180-day period, so that they can keep account of all the citizens.
I'm Indian,
Yes, but you're still a U.S. citizen, and that's what you want to keep up, right?
Yeah,
so
but
the U.S. embassy can require that. You have to just check into the requirements, because the requirements keep changing every time. So whenever you decide to move, we will check the requirements at that point and be able to tell you whether there is a reporting obligation or not.
Okay, ma'am. I may ask you next time. Thank you very much. Bye.
All the best.
Thank you so much. 972-361-0606 is the number to get in touch with Pallavi beyond the show. You do need to get an appointment to see her and discuss your matter. Panisha Radio, you are live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Pallavi. My wife is on F1 OPT and her visa is expired. So we were thinking to go to India. And do you think it is safe to get the F1 visa stamped again while she's on F1 OPT?
Yes, it just depends. If she has an I-20 that is correctly marked and she's meeting the obligations still, the consulate in India can look at her case and still require all of that financial ability, can require all of that. So all the conditions that pertain to the F1 visa still have to be met, and if they are met, she should be all right to get her visa stamped again under the OPT. So
Okay. All right.
Marked
All right,
with that
thanks.
OPT. Is it a STEM extension or is it a regular OPT?
No, it's a STEM extension actually.
Okay. Now she's going to be given what, 24 months under the expanded STEM?
We actually got for 17 months because the rule was not applicable at that time when she got the STEM extension. So we'll apply again.
You may
after
want
17 months.
to get the I-20 amended to the correct length, which is a 24 months now, and then go for stamping. That way you have it for the 24 months that the F1 visa can be given you for that expanded time.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much, Pallavi. Appreciate it.
All the best.
Thank you for your call. Going to our next caller on Asia Radio. You're live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Hi, Pallavi. So my question is a little convoluted. I am right now on H4, although I have a valid H1B till 2017. So my H4 is due for extension in this December. And my question is, what if I get an employer to consider responsoring my H1B by this October, while my H4 is under process for extension? What would be the impact on that H4, or will there be an impact on possible H1 sponsorship in that case?
Yes, so there are a couple of ways to do it. So you do have a valid H1B. Is that a visa that's stamped on your passport, the one that you said?
It's not stamped in passport, but the petition, I have I-797 petition valid till 2017.
Got it. Okay. So there are a couple of ways to do it. One is that you would file for a change of status from the H4 to the H1B. You would do it under payment processing. That may probably put some pressure on the H4 to get adjudicated and see what happens. Mm-hmm. Now, the only point is that even with you premium processing the H1B, it is not assured that the H4 will be treated urgently. So the other option that you may have is that you can have another employer file for a transfer from that old H1B that you have. You would take that approval notice and you would do that as consular processing. You can take that approval notice, you can go to a contiguous territory, and I say this quite often because this is the best option for a lot of people that don't want to go back home for visa stamping. And that would be that you would just go with that new approval notice and you would re-enter on your new H1B with that second employer, and the CBP will mark you on the H1B status. While you're in the country and you have a pending H4, you're covered. But the moment you leave the country, that case does get abandoned, and that would be fine. You would get a denial of that H4 later on.
Oh, so that H4 will be denied later on, is it? Can't I have both these statuses
Yes, because
approved? And
you cannot have two statuses, and the H4 is a status, it is not a visa. So which means that if you leave the country without that status being approved, then you're not going to be able to get an approval of it. Leaving the country, departing the country will end up in that H4 being denied, which should be fine if you're taking on the H1B to re-enter the country. I would not advise you to leave the country prior to you getting the H1B approved and prior to your travel.
correct. Thank you so much.
All the best.
Thanks a lot. 972-235-5555 number in the studio. This is Your Business Matters with Pallavi Ahluwalia from Ahluwalia Law Offices. Their website, ahluwalialaw.com, and there is plenty of information up there about, there are plenty of useful government links that they provide, USCIS, and a lot of other information that might be very useful, including the recordings of all the radio shows that Pallavi does with Fun Asia. All right, going to our next caller, Fun Asia Radio, 104.9 FM. You are live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thanks a lot for taking my call. My name is Rohan, and I'm asking this question on behalf of a friend. So my friend is a U.S. citizen, and he is getting married to somebody in India who has a U.S. Tourist visa, visitor visa. So my question is, if what would be the best option for him and his fiancée to come over to the U.S. since he will be filing for petition for his fiancée?
So he's just engaged right now, and he wants to sponsor her as a fiancé, or does he want to sponsor as his spouse? So either way, the process is about, I'd say, if in terms of just the hurry of her coming in, that petition, the fiancé petition, takes about 8 to 9 months, get approved. And then after that, she would come in and she'd file for an adjustment within 90 days of her arrival into the country. And now if we talk about doing a green card for her, so if he were to get married abroad and then file for an I-130, the I-130 and getting that green card takes about 2 steps in terms of the legal paperwork and 3 steps in terms of if you were to combine the interview. And the I-130 takes about 4 to 5 months, maybe even sometimes closer to 6 months. And after that, the NVC can take about 5-6 months also. And then after the NVC is done with their process, it would be set up for an interview. So within a year or about a year, she can come in on a green card. That's what she can do. On the fiancé visa, he can sponsor. It'll take about, again, it can take anywhere between 8 to 12 months to even process that. Once that's processed, she comes in and then she files for her green card within the country.
Gotcha. My last quick question is, so what if she comes to the country this summer and they get married? She comes to the country on her visitor visa and they get married here, and does she has to go back to India again, or she can just file for a status change?
Yeah, no. So if she were to be coming into the country on the visitor visa, and if they decide to get married here, and then after a few months of her stay here, which would be at least 60 to 90 days, if she were to file an I-130 485, then she can stay back in the country. However, you have to understand the intent of this is very important, and if she has this preconceived intent to do so, then that may cause her trouble. And the intent is usually declared by how fast she files for her adjustment status. So if she were to wait about 60 to 90 days, that takes away the intent part of it, where it should be all right if she were to file in 90 days. She can also, after she does get married, she can also file for an I-130 and pursue this through the consulate. But then, yes, that would be where she would be required to step out of the country.
Gotcha. So how long does it usually take? Like if she will come in and they get married and within a week or 2 they file for I-130, and how long does it take to get approved? Like, because my concern is like she cannot stay more than 6 months here, and while she's on change of status, while she applied for change of status, does she have to leave the country? She still have to follow all those policies, rules that she has to leave the country for after 6 months.
So if she has an adjustment of status that is pending, she cannot depart the country till she has a travel document with her.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you for your call. All the very best to you. Moving on to our next caller, Fanisha Radio. You are live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question, please. Fanisha Radio, you are live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question. All right. Looks like we have a silent caller there. So we'll go on to our next caller. 972-235-5555 is the number in the studio. You're live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Hey, good morning. My question is, if I'm a U.S. citizen and my fiancé is an Indian citizen and they're visiting here on a visitor visa, and can we go to the court for the court wedding and the change of status, and can she go back after that? And until the processing is complete, she stays in India and she comes back. Is that possible?
Yeah, so just very similar to the question that you just answered, and that is that, yes, she has an option, of course, to go back and come back in through the consulate, the consular processing route. And the other option would be if she were to get married and wanted to stay back, then she could stay back and file an adjustment of status along with I-130. Except for her to do that, she has to wait here about 60 to 90 days from the time she enters. She should not get married immediately after she comes in, also if she were to pursue this as her immigration path.
Understood. So if we do get married, but then say within the 30 days, and we apply for the change of status to the immigration process through I-130, and then she goes back, is that still a feasible option?
Yeah, so basically, that's not a change of status. That's just a petition for an alien relative. So yes, if you were to she comes in, she gets married in 30 days, then she files for, or a spouse files for the I-130 for her, and then she leaves the country, that is fine. That is fine. That should not done any violation in terms of an adjustment of status.
Sounds good. Thank you for your help.
Thank you so much. And we are towards the end of the show. We have just under 2 minutes for the next question, so you really have to be quick. You are live on the air and ask your question very quickly. All right, can you hear us? Yes, not. I'll move on, and very little time left for our last caller here. Please quickly ask your question.
Hi, I just have a quick question regarding the visitor's visa for my brother. And is it necessary to have a round-trip ticket?
Yes, when they come in, that they should see when they're about to return back. That is a question that the CBP officer can definitely ask the person who's visiting.
So it is must to have a round, like they cannot have a one-way ticket and then
no, then he doesn't have. So the CBP officer has a choice not to ask that question. But if they do and he does not have a ticket, then that is something that is going to get them to deny the entry, because they can see that this person intends to stay indefinitely, which is not allowed for visitor visas.
And in another case, I have a grandmother coming here on visitor visa, but then we plan for her green card petition for by my father. In that case as well, we around.
Not pre-plan this, and I'm going to say it quickly because I know we're running out of time.
Yes, exactly.
You cannot plan this, because if you were to pre-plan this, that would be an error too. She would also need a round-trip ticket.
All right, that's about all the time we have today. And yes, thank you for all your calls, listeners here. And thank you, Pallavi. It's always a pleasure to have you on the airwaves of Vanisha Radio 104.9 FM.